Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On this week's program, our guest is Kansas U.S. Senator Jerry Moran. We talk about agriculture and how several relief programs are coming together, plus any update on the price versus value in the beef market right now. We also have features from Kansas Corn, Kansas Wheat, and the Kansas Farm Bureau, and our weekly update, Kansas Livestock Association.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, KFB.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com.
In agricultural news from agview.net, USDA Secretary Sonny Perdue applauding the announcement that agriculture producers for the first time are now eligible for the Small Business Administration's Economic Injury Disaster Loan, or EDIL, and EDIL Advanced programs. He said America's farmers, ranchers, and producers need the same help that other American businesses need during this unprecedented time. He said the significant new authority signed by President Trump will make a tremendous difference for America's agricultural community. SBA's EIDL portal has been closed since the middle of April, but the agency able to reopen that portal just a few days ago in a limited capacity as a result of funding authorized by Congress through the Paycheck Protection Program and Healthcare Enhancement Act. This legislation was signed into law by the President a few days ago. It provides additional critical funding for farmers and ranchers affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Now, in order to help facilitate the important change to EIDL loan and the EIDL Advanced Assistance Eligibility, SBA reopening the loan and advance application portal for ag enterprises only. For ag producers that submitted an EIDL loan application through the streamlined application portal prior to the legislative change, SBA is going to move forward and process those applications without the need for reapplying. Although their EIDL loan applications that were submitted prior to April 15th will be processed on a first-in, first-out basis. And the Kansas Department of Agriculture State Trademark Program from the land of Kansas, releasing a public survey asking for your input about shopping practices and preferences. Recent events reminded all of us about the importance of local foods. This survey is seeking feedback from Kansas consumers on what they're looking for and how they can help find local foods. The survey will take about 5 minutes to complete, will inform the program's efforts to better promote and celebrate agriculture experiences and products grown, raised, and produced in the state of Kansas. Now, if you do complete the survey, you'll be entered into a gift basket drawing. Those gift baskets contain a variety of Kansas-grown or made products valuing at over $100. 3 winners will be selected and notified early in June via the contact information they provide at the end of the survey. Any Kansas resident is eligible and encouraged to take the survey. You can find it online, agriculture.ks.gov. Find more ag information online at agview.net. Stay with us. U.S. Senator Jerry Moran will join us in a moment.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
Feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
And our special guest is Kansas Senator Jerry Moran. Senator, thanks for taking a few moments to join us.
Ken, good to be with you and with our viewers and listeners. Great to spend some time. I wish that the news was better in the ag world.
Well, let's talk about all those things. And you spent a lot of time during this COVID-19 situation trying to bring some relief to Kansas farmers and ranchers. And it seems like we're making some progress, but there's just an awful long way to go.
Absolutely. I mean, going back to when Congress and the Senate in particular was in session, I teamed up with a handful of my ag colleagues in the Senate to insist that before we passed phase 3, that it would include money for support of farmers and ranchers, and particularly the livestock sector. Ultimately, we were successful in getting $19 billion into a program that USDA has announced and is in the process of putting an application in front of farmers and ranchers. We particularly were interested in livestock because that's not a normal farm program. That's not a normal place that USDA looks. And in many instances, livestock producers are ones who generally tell you, we don't want anything to do with government. But things were so severe, so challenging that there was a demand and a need for help, and we were successful in including specifically livestock in the program. And the Secretary Perdue has announced a program that includes some dollars for livestock along with specialty crops and dairy. And so we're anxious to see what that looks like. And there are a lot of challenges. So we have a long way to go. It's not enough money, and we have certainly concerns with payment limitations when it comes to livestock producers.
We'll talk about that. Will that be successful? Because it doesn't take too long to get to that $250,000 cap, even though many folks are saying that should be enough. But there's concern about that. There's concern about some of those dollars and all those dollars going directly to the producer.
Ken, of course, it will. I think the estimates are a $13 billion loss in the country. I doubt that those numbers are current. $5 billion on the $13 billion on the beef side, and $5 billion on the pork side. And with the challenges we face with the processing of meat, the slaughter of meat, and packing, we have significant problems. And I would guess those numbers are now outdated. So not enough money, but also if you apply payment limitations to the livestock sector, usually and normally in a farm bill, payment limitations, because the farm programs apply to crops, there's a payment limitation. And the challenge here is that's very few cow-calf pairs, very few cattle on feed. If you put $125,000 per commodity cap on that payment, and in a sense, while $125,000 is never a lot of money, it's always a lot of money is the way to say that. It's always a lot of money. In this case, it wouldn't go very far in trying to solve the huge challenges that the livestock producers face today.
U.S. Senator Jerry Moran is our guest. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back and talk more in just a moment.
The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. And agview.net, serving the Beef Belt and Western Corn Belt with reliable and relevant agriculture information. agview.net.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
And and our special guest is U.S. Senator Jerry Moran. And Senator, as we hear, there continues to be more discussion of even more packages being worked on, infrastructure being one of them, and some are saying this may be a way to get something as important as the locks and dams. Now, what does that mean for rural Kansas? Maybe not much other than the big picture. It's been something that helps the flow of a lot of commodities that has been bottled up for years.
President Trump in particular, but also House Democrats, have been very interested in an infrastructure program. Locks and dams, of course, for agriculture, but also roads and bridges and highways for agriculture and everyone else. I think the issue here is that if money is going to be spent to try to get the economy moving, let's make sure we spend money on something we would spend it on anyway. Maybe we are accelerating the time in which we invest in infrastructure, but we know we're going to have to invest sometime in the near future, and at a time in which our country's economy is so challenged and people are in need of work. This is perhaps a really good time to invest in agriculture. I think the issue here will be one of fiscal responsibility. We can't just keep continuing federal dollars, federal taxpayer dollars, into this circumstance. We need a growing economy. There's not enough tax dollars to overcome an economy that is not at work. And so if we can do this in a way that is not increasing the deficit further, but is putting people to work, generating dollars into the economy, and again, on something that we would spend money on anyway, or need to spend money on anyway, I think it's worth us taking a look. And again, I think that we're in, I guess, what I call phase 3.5. We've passed 3 major pieces of legislation, a second smaller one to add some money, particularly into the PPP program. So 3.5 phases. And in Washington this week, in the Senate at least, the discussions among ourselves began once again to figure out what, if any, there is to phase 4. But having said that, again, I would reiterate, there isn't enough money in Washington, D.C., because money doesn't come from Washington, D.C. It comes out of taxpayer pockets, or we borrow it. And so what we do from here on we need to make certain that we're not spending money that is going to create another crisis a few months or a few years down the road when the debt and deficit comes back to kill our economy once again.
Will you and others continue to put pressure on Secretary Perdue to release what they know right now in the investigation of what's going on with the disparaging difference in the cattle market, and we talked about the Holcomb fire, and now we have the Corona situation. People in the countryside are just up in arms, as most people are, and wanting to get to the bottom of what's really going on.
Ken, absolutely. I mean, we were anxiously awaiting for a USDA report on what was the market consequences as a result of the fire at Holcomb at the Tyson plant in Kansas now months ago. That hasn't appeared yet. And of course, the request was, and the Secretary agreed, to expand that investigation into the circumstances we faced when meat prices were so high at the grocery store and live cattle prices were so low at the market. So it is, and we're anxiously awaiting, and I know that there's a lot of pressure. I've had a conversation with Secretary Perdue asking him about this topic. We will re-up that request, and I have a later call this week with Secretary Northey, in which we'll have a chance to remind the department that there is a lot of uncertainty and a lot of angst about what's going on in cattle markets across Kansas and around the country.
Before we wrap up, just quickly, with all the processing plants we do have in Kansas, immigration, H-2A has been a big issue. Looks like for now the situation's been resolved, but when the dust kind of settles, is this going to be a chance for finally reaching reform when it comes to immigration and working in agriculture?
Ken, you're so right to emphasize the word finally. I hope that's the case. We've been talking agricultural workers for as long as I've been a member of Congress. The demand for those who work in agriculture, both short-term and long-term, hasn't diminished. And this COVID-19 virus highlights the importance of those who come to the United States to work in agriculture. So maybe this is the wake-up call. There's a lot of wake-up calls that come from this COVID-19 presence in our country. I hope this is one of them. I clearly do. We need to get there.
All right, Senator, we know you have a busy schedule, but we do thank you for the opportunity to visit with us and give us the update of what's going on, and maybe we can have a conversation in the coming weeks.
Ken, thank you. Thank you for the interview and the opportunity to talk about agriculture, our state's certainly most important industry.
Senator Jerry Moran has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare supplement insurance plans. With Medicare supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that's served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Hello, Jody O'Lean here with Common Ground Kansas, and we wanted to update you on some exciting new shifts in our programming. Our world today looks nothing like what it looked like just a few months ago, and many of our experiences are going to shift to digital experiences. Common Ground Kansas and our sponsors, Kansas Corn and Kansas Soybean, saw those trends, and they used this as an opportunity to shift to an all-virtual yoga and farm animal experience. The inaugural yoga and farm animal event on Facebook actually launched on May the 4th with fantastic results. We had over 91 people join us and over 3,700 minutes of the video consumed. On the video, we had farm moms from around the state with farm animals and a yoga instructor. The yoga instructor would teach yoga and farm animal poses, while we would also talk with local farmers about their animals and how they cared for them. To check out the video, visit us at Common Ground Kansas on Facebook. And don't worry, you didn't miss out. Our next one will be May the 18th at 6 p.m. So make sure to tell all of your friends, all of your teachers, all of your educators, all the homeschool, everybody who's going to be celebrating a big end of the year to join us May the 18th.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Over the past few weeks, farmers have taken major hits, not only financially, but also when it comes to the weather. Recent cold temperatures have potential to cause freeze injury to the 2020 wheat crop. Factors to watch out for include growth stage of the crop, air and soil temperature, duration of cold temperatures, and snow cover. If the growing point is already above ground, the first joint is visible, wheat can sustain temperatures down to about 24 degrees for a few hours. Minimum temperatures below 24 degrees for extended periods of time increase the risk of crop injury. Along with watching your wheat during the changing weather, it's also important to scout wheat for stripe and leaf rust. There were a few reports of stripe rust from Oklahoma and a Twitter report of the disease in southeast Kansas bordering Missouri. To date, extension agents, crop consultants, and growers all indicate that rust is not widely active in Kansas. When people think of stripe rust, they often visualize the characteristic bright yellowish-orange lesions on adult plants. Symptoms of stripe rust on younger leaves are often less rectangular because the fungal growth within the plant is not limited by the veins of younger leaves. With the wheat crop in south central and southeast Kansas approaching or already at the flag leaf emergence stages of growth, farmers are encouraged to be on the lookout for diseases. More in-field observations will be happening over the next few weeks. Visit kswheat.com to learn more.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
They're out there on the front lines. The brave, the dedicated, the relentless. But there's another front line. The one that helps nourish all others while facing epic struggles of their own. So in this season of uncertainty, a few things remain certain. The rain will fall, the sun will shine, and together we'll continue to grow.
Kansas Farm Bureau has served farm families in rural Kansas for more than 100 years. We're pleased to offer new health care coverage choices for Kansans in 2020 through Kansas Farm Bureau Health Plans. No matter what stage of life you're in, we'll have options that fit your lifestyle. Plus, our network of providers is one of the largest available throughout the state of Kansas and beyond. For more information, including the different plans available, or to get a quote, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.
As home cooks have been stocking up on staples like beef over the past several weeks, the National Beef Checkoff has ramped up efforts to provide preparation tips and recipes. Part of those efforts included working with 3 popular chefs to launch a campaign encouraging consumers to make real beef their meat substitute of choice, serving up inspiring recipes like Peking chuck, Korean fried beef, and calamari. Since these new videos launched April 1st via beefitswhatsfordinner.com and other social media properties, there have been more than 1.2 million video views and nearly 1.5 million social engagements with the content, with a very positive consumer response. Additionally, for cooks who may not be as savvy, the Checkoff started promoting quick and easy meal prep videos through YouTube and other digital advertising efforts. Since these videos launched in late March, there have been more than 5 million video views and a 51% increase in recipe-related page views on Beef It's What's for Dinner. The Kansas Beef Council also has heavily increased their digital advertising to emphasize more retail purchasing information and are providing recipes, beef cooking tips, and nutritional information to consumers. The content has reached more than 2 million consumers since March 16th.
Well, that's our show this week. Continue to be social with us at an appropriate distance by going online at kansasagreport.net. Like us on Facebook, Kansas Ag Report Television Show. Follow us on Twitter at Kansas Ag Report. Lots of activities going on in Kansas farms and ranchers. Cattle get in the grass. Planting is in full steam. So look up for safety. We need you around. Wash your hands. Check in on your neighbor and be kind to one another. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Kansans have a new choice for Medicare supplement insurance plans. With Medicare supplement insurance plans from Kansas Farm Bureau, you have access to 4 levels of coverage, affordable rates, and service from an organization that's served Kansans for more than 100 years. For more information on Kansas Farm Bureau Medicare supplement plans, including rates and to apply, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn. For livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population, the farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.